Welcome to Hope Academy. My name is Mr. O, and today I'm going to be going over the ACT Practice Exam 4. This is an online exam provided from ACT, and I provide the link below if you want to check out the exam. I'm going over specifically numbers 7 through 9. Feel free to watch the prior videos if you want to look at the prior questions that have been done. But that being stated, I usually do these questions real quick and explain in depth how to do the question. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. 280 children who are 11 or 12, okay, so let's do that. Okay, let me show. These are my 11 year, okay, so okay. I'm going to use the calculator because I'm allowed to do so. That's 12x equals to 3, 2, 3, 8. So these cancel negative x, but okay. Oops. 22. Okay, so for number 7, my final answer is going to be B. And now I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So this is a word problem based question where I need to be able to create two equations. And so I'm going to go ahead and go step by step explaining how I was able to get to this equation and how did I logic this out so that I could create the equation. So basically they tell you the scenario. They tell you that there's a total of 280 children like this. Okay, they're either 11 or 12 years old, and that the sum of their ages are going to be 3238 years. Okay, and so now that I was given this information, there's two equations that stood out to me, or two things that stood out to me actually. The fact that I know the total number of children that exist, and they tell me this fact that they're either 11 years old or 12 years old. Okay. And so, and of course the 3238, and I did annotate that. So those are the only clues they do provide you. Everything else you don't need to worry about. Don't waste your time rereading this question constantly. The point is that means that if I define certain things, I need to define certain things. Let's say X is going to be the number of 11-year-old children, right? Because that's one part of this question. And let's say Y equals to the number of 12-year-old children, okay? 12-year-old. I should write the word old because it lets you know the age, okay? And then the part is that when I know X and Y, then that tells me, because I know that that's how many children there are. The first equation that I actually created when I was solving this question is the fact that it's going to be X plus Y equals to 280. Because if I add up the total number of 11-year-olds and the total number of 12-year-olds, that means that's the total number of children generally in this neighborhood recreation program, as they stated. So that's the first equation, but there's always a condition that exists, almost always, and I'm not going to say 100% always, because I've seen certain questions where you could get rid of multiple variables at once, but almost always is it that if you have two variables, you must have the same number of equations. So I cannot solve this currently without finding another equation. And so now I'm going to be looking for the other equation. And so the other equation that I need is relevant to the age piece, where it's 3238 years. So I have the number of the children, but now I'm going to try to find the total number of years of these children. So it's going to be 11x because it's 11-year-old. So each time it's 11 times the x number of 11-year-olds that exist, plus 12y is going to equal to 3238. Okay, and so this is the key information or setup that I need in order to be able to solve this out. There's two ways you could solve this question out, or two methods actually. There's the method of substitution that you could use, and there is the method of elimination that you could use. Either or will work, elimination. Both methods will work for this question, but that being stated, personally for me, I chose substitution for this question just because I didn't really want to multiply 11 or multiply 12 on this and then make it a little bit more messy in a sense. And so I actually just opted for the substitution method. And so what I actually did was that I first changed this statement right here, and I moved x to the other side because the question is asking me to solve for x in the end. So I decided to move x. And so what happens is that my new equation is going to be y equals to 280 minus x. And what's great about this setup now is that I could substitute this y right here into this y for this equation. And so this will let me set the equation up to a new format where it's going to be 11x plus 12, and I'm taking this whole statement into it, 280 minus x, because it's a substitution method, equals to 3238. Now I could go ahead and solve it out. So I distribute the 12 to both parts right here. So it'll be 11x plus, and so right here, I actually, on the calculator, just multiplied this, 12 times 280, 12 times 280. And I got 3360, so I got 3360 minus 12x, make sure you distribute to both parts right here, equals to 3238. Afterwards, I could combine like terms, and this would be 3360 minus x equals to 3238. And then afterwards, I just simply did was I subtracted 3360 minus 3360. And so this cancels out because of because it's the same value subtracted off of each other. And then down here, I actually got negative 112 equals to negative x. But because I understood both sides are negative, it's the same thing, me canceling out the negatives completely. And thus how I got x equals to 112. And thus how I got my final answer for this question as B, not 112, sorry. It's 122 actually. Let me correct that. 122. I just misread it, but yes, that's how I ended up with the answer. And you could feel free to check on the calculator for that. And that's how number 7, I got B. And to continue on to number 8. So for number 8, figure shown below is a constant of a circle and 4 semicircles. Okay, the diameter, each diameter is 10. Okay, so 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, which is the approximation of a total area. Okay, so I know there's 100. There's 2 circles here, so pi r squared, so 25 pi times 2 plus 100, okay, so 25 pi times 2 plus 100, 257, so 260. Okay, so for number 8, my final answer is going to be H260. So for this type of question, the important thing you have to notice is that there's actually 3 shapes that do exist in this, this shape right here. So they said there's 4 semicircles. So if I have 4 semicircles, that means that technically I have 2 full circles. So there's technically 2 circles, each with a diameter of 10. And then I have a box, or okay, more like a square. That's the appropriate term. Square that's 10 by 10. And so right off, I knew that for the area for the 10 by 10 is going to be 100, because 10 times 10 is 100 for a square, because base times height. Okay, so I did a base times height equals the area for the square. When it comes to specifically the circle, you could use the equation bank in the front, but as I mentioned before in other videos, it's important for you to memorize these equations so you could save time and not waste time, flipping back and forth and sort of thing. And you have to remember that the area for a circle is going to be pi r squared equals to the area. And so since the equation requires you to get the radius, these are currently diameters. And so in order to find the radius, it's always going to be half of a diameter, which is going to be 5. And thus I could plug 5 into here. So 5 squared is 25. So 25 pi, as I found it, by the times 2 because of these 2 circles that are right here. And then I did plus 100, and thus how on the calculator, and I do highly advise doing this on a calculator because the calculator will give you a more accurate answer and it will avoid you from making any silly computational mistakes. But I basically punched it into the calculator and it ended up getting 257.07 as shown on the scientific calculator. And thus it rounded off a little bit to H, which is going to be 260, and that concludes my explanation for number 8. To continue on to number 9, so I'm going to go ahead and set that up right here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so number 9. Which finds the close approximation to the height of the shown below. Also sausage triangle. Okay. So I just need one side of this. So this part will be 15. Opposite, adjacent. Okay. Okay, so for number 9, my final answer is going to be A. And now I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So for number 9, the concept you do need to know for this question is a concept called SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA. Okay, and so when you are doing these type of questions based on SOHCAHTOA and whatever not, the important thing you need to make sure to do is to be able to identify which triangle you're working with. The other thing you also need to know for this specific question, and it's not as important per se, is just being able to recognize this is going to be a isosceles triangle, okay? And so when I was doing this question, I recognized it was an isosceles triangle. The reason why is that these two angles are equal to each other on the bottom of this triangle, which means it's going to be an isosceles triangle. That means the dimensionalities are going to be split perfectly in half right here. And so because it's split right in half, technically my actual triangle is going to look like this. So I only care about one side or one of these triangles where it states 20 degrees here. I see H and I split the 30 in half. So if I split 30 in half, it's going to be 15 feet. And since I recognize that this is the right triangle, duly note, I notice that right across will be opposite. So my height is going to be opposite. And this part right here is going to be adjacent. Okay, because the longest side of this will always be the hypotenuse. But because I have opposite and adjacent, and I have opposite adjacent, it was going to be a tangent function. And I set it up right here on my scratch work. So tangent 20 equals to h over 15. But that being stated, because we are solving for h, we want to multiply 15 on both sides. So h over 15 times 15 will cancel out the 15s. And it will be 15 tangent 20, which is going to be my final answer. This part right here is going to be my final answer, which is going to be A. And that concludes my explanations for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and feel free to leave comments below if you want certain concept covered or if you have any other questions about what I did so that I could clarify it more. But thank you so much once again for watching this video. And I will see you next time.